Welcome back, football fans. It's the Prep Zone preview show brought to you once again by Naples Dodge Chrysler Jeep. It's week 11, the final week of the regular season. Now the playoffs are already set. We know who's in, we know who's out. But that doesn't mean that these games don't matter. We've got 9 games this week involving 12 teams. 7 of them are going to the playoffs next week, while others are staying home. Now the 7 that are going to the playoffs, they'd love to get a little momentum before that first round game, while the other ones want to end the season on a high note. This week we're at Golden Gate High School, where the Titans are on a roll, winning 3 of their past 5, hosting Gulf Coast, who just won their first district championship. Now Coach Weber is off this week, so for a breakdown of these games and more, here's my good friend, Adam Fisher. Well friends, we've got a full slate of really good games this week. Got a lot to look forward to get out and see. For the first one, we're looking at Lely at Palmetto Ridge. Now both these teams are coming off disappointment. Neither one of them is going to the playoffs, however, there's a lot of pride on the line. Lely came out on the wrong end of a 3-way tiebreaker on Monday. They will not make the playoffs despite a winning season. Palmetto Ridge, on the other hand, is 3-5, having lost 5 straight games. Now, the Bears have a great defense, while Lely has an explosive offense. However, the Trojans have been dealing with injuries as of late, so it'll be interesting to see which side of the ball can get it done. In our second game, we've got Barron Collier at North Fort Myers. Barron Collier is 5-4, coming off a loss. However, the Cougars will still make the playoffs as the 6A-12 runner-up. They get a pre-playoff test at North Fort Myers, a very quick, a very athletic team, led, of course, by Florida State commit Zaquandre White, who has 600 yards rushing this season. He's a running back, one of a talented group of running backs they have there at North Fort Myers. And in our spotlight game, we're here at Golden Gate, where the Titans will take on Gulf Coast. Now, both these teams are riding high. Gulf Coast got the biggest win in school history last week, upsetting South Fort Myers to win the program's very first district championship. The Sharks have won 5 straight games, which also is a school record. Golden Gate started 0-4, but they've won 3 of their past 5, even though they're a young team, including last week's Battle of the Gate against Palmetto Ridge. And with me now to talk more about this game is Titans head coach Mike DeGrigoly. Now Mike, you guys started 0-4, kind of a slow start, but since then you've won 3 of 5, a big victory last week. Just what's been working for you this past second half of the season?
Well, we just continued to do what we were doing. We went through some growing pains early on in the season. We have a lot of guys that are first-year players, and we have several young guys playing for us. So maturation process, guys maturing, and just staying focused on what we do, and guys just showing great character and grinding it out and getting better each week.
Now tell me about that. We talked off camera that I think you told me you have 7 sophomores starting, and these are sophomores from a team that went 8-0 last year as freshmen. This year's freshman team, I believe you told me 7-1. So the future's bright here for the Titans.
The future is bright. We do have 7 sophomores starting for us at this point, and that's been for the last 3 weeks in a row. So the freshman team did well again this year, and we expect to do a lot better in the future. So we're going to build off those guys, and I think that's why you're seeing some growth here at the end of the season. Our younger guys are starting to get a hang of what's going on and mature as the season goes on.
Tell me about that victory last week. You won the Battle for the Gate. That's the big one with Palmetto Ridge, kind of bragging rights in this part of town, in the Golden Gate area. You scored 28 points or 27 points in the fourth quarter. Just what worked for that, and does that give you momentum going into this big matchup with Gulf Coast?
Well, it's always nice to come off a win. It makes the preparation the following week a little bit easier. Guys are excited. The atmosphere is much different. We came back from 27 points down. We were shooting ourselves in the foot for pretty much for the first half and into the beginning of the third quarter. We were penalizing ourselves. And once we settled down and started just to play pretty much aggressive football on defense, we were able to turn the ball over, and that's what prompted the offensive explosion. So the offense got the ball back in great position, and they were able to capitalize on that. So that's really what happened. It was a momentum swing, and we just caught that wave and rode it to the end of the game.
And tell me about this one. It's your final game. You guys won't make the playoffs, but you play a really good Gulf Coast team. They're going for a school record, to tie a school record in wins. What do you guys need to do to win on Friday and end this season on a high note?
Well, we're going to have to show up. Gulf Coast has a great team. We're going to have to be really focused and concentrate on all phases of the game. I mean, Gulf Coast comes in with a super talented team, and they're clicking at the right time too. So we're going to have our best game yet, and I'm sure Gulf Coast will as well, and just see where the points fall at the end of the game.
Well, folks, don't let the records fool you. 3-6 against 6-3, but both these teams loaded with athletes. It's going to be a good one. As Coach Weber would say if he's here, get out there, see a high school football game. It's your last chance in the regular season. For our player spotlight this week, I'm with one of the youngest starting quarterbacks in Collier County, Jay Herard, sophomore for the Golden Gate Titans. Now, you were playing freshman ball last year. Now you're at the varsity level with you guys starting at quarterback, with you yourself starting at quarterback. I think you've won 3 of your past 5. What's been working well for the Titans during the second half of the season?
During the second half of the season, we just had a better vibe with practice, and then everything we worked in practice, it just went to the games, and everything was easy.
Tell me, I understand you got a lot of young guys starting, 7 sophomores. What's been the hardest thing to transition to from that freshman team last year to varsity this year?
From transferring, everything's just been faster and harder. So you just gotta get big in the weight room, faster on the field, and you should be good.
Now, with you guys being so young, I know you're going to miss the playoffs this year. You're going to have a losing record this year. But what can we expect in the future for Golden Gate?
In the future in Golden Gate, you should see a lot of talent. You might just see broken records and everything else.
Tell me about this game coming up. Gulf Coast, again, I said you guys won't make the playoffs, but you always want to end the year on a positive note. Just why is this game important for you guys?
This game is important to us to show that if we go out and win the last game, it'll show us what we could do in the future games, as in next year when I'm a junior. And it's to keep our vibes together.
And tell me, you know, Gulf Coast has a good team. What do you guys need to do to win?
We just gotta stop their running offense, and their passing offense is really good. So we just gotta tighten up in the defense area. And we should be good because I think our offense has the thing to push it down and throw and score every time.
Well, there you have it, folks. A full slate of game in the final week of the regular season. If you want previews of every single game, be sure to stay here at naplesnews.com/PrepZone. And we will be back for the playoffs. Coach Weber will be back with me next week while we break down 7 playoff games here in the area. Stay with us on Friday nights when we'll have a live chat and updated scores. So for the PrepZone preview show, I'm Adam Fisher. No John Weber, but we got you covered.